Good evening, everybody. Hope you've had a wonderful day so far today. My name is Bronson Long. This is my instructor, Master Autry.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Good. I missed being here.
I know it's been 2 weeks, right?
It's been a while.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
It feels like forever.
Yeah.
You get in the habit of doing something after a
Exactly.
while. It's
Yes, sir.
something else. So, anyway, hope you guys are all doing great today. So I missed doing this podcast with you. This is,
Yeah. We what, 2 weeks? We missed.
I guess, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It feels like a
Forever.
year, but so, normally we do our topics back and forth all the time.
Right.
1 week is my turn, 1 week is your turn, and we can talk about just about anything on
Yes,
this
sir.
show, whether it's coffee or life problems or whatever. And you told me that tonight's title of the show is Jealousy.
Jealousy.
That's pretty intense.
It is. It
That's
is.
intense. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it. And I'm going to let you take the floor and just see where this thing goes. I'm
All right.
excited.
All right, that sounds good.
Sure.
I'll tell you in a minute why I came up with this, but first of all, what is jealousy? It's a destructive emotion. That's what it is. It absolutely will destruct you. Miss Autry told me a story, 15 years ago. She was working at this place, and she said this nice young man, he was probably 30 years old. He told her one day, I guess in the break room, he was talking. He said, I've been saving my money for 5 years.
Wow.
5 years. He said, I don't go to Starbucks. I don't do this. I just put money in a jar. He said, I'm going to buy me a Mercedes one day. So about a year later, he comes driving, and everybody loved him. Everybody at work, they loved him, thought he was a cool guy. He comes driving up in a brand new Mercedes, and everybody was just talking behind his back. Man, who does he think he is? He bought this, he bought that. He don't make that kind of money. And they said that the rumors were just spreading through that place.
Wow.
And that was a destructive emotion for everybody. Yeah, and I was thinking, that happens every single day. It really does. I've seen jealousy mess up dojos. I'm sure you've seen jealousy in your work. And the thing is, it happens with brothers and sisters. It happens with friends and everything. Excuse me. Me personally, and this is true, I've never been jealous of anybody. I don't care who it is. It never has. Miss Autry hasn't either. Now, I've done things I wish I hadn't done, but jealousy is not one of them. The thing is, I see it a lot when I was teaching martial arts on the floor, but I see it in brothers and sisters. And most of the time is, if you have a solid foundation, you're not going to be jealous, and it's going to be solid naturally. But if it's a foundation built with sand, it's going to wash away through the years. It doesn't take much, just a little bit, to turn into jealousy.
You're right.
Or even dislike, or even I've seen some cases as hate, which is a bad word to use. But it's what kind of foundation you have. So without the foundation, you're not going to be able to have a sustained relationship with anybody. And
Right.
that's what it starts with. But the emotions are just unbelievable. And I see it every day. I see it at work. I'm sure you see it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And jealousy is one of those things that it seems to me it's like a silent crime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something that nobody gets any. You can't see the scars.
Right.
You
Exactly.
can't see the damage that it does. And I think it's funny that we often use like colors to describe things. And it sounds weird, but I'm going somewhere with this.
Yeah.
Where people say, he was so red, he was angry, he was so red, or man, he's so sick, he's sad, he looks blue, but
Yeah.
people always say he's green with envy.
Right.
And I've always thought that that's just so interesting that when you see that when you think of jealousy, when you think of envy, you kind of think of like this sickly type of, almost like a bug, you know what I mean? Like a leech that comes in and wants to just suck the joy out of the things that you've done.
I see black.
Black, really.
I see the color black in jealousy. I've always seen that. I mean,
Really?
you are talking about people say, "Oh, he's green with envy and stuff," but jealousy to me is just pure black.
Really?
It's just hatred, and it just eats your soul out.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I can't say I've ever struggled with. I'm pretty honest about what I've done wrong
me
and what
too.
I struggle
Absolutely.
with.
I've done a lot of things I wish I'd never
Red
done.
was a color I've experienced. That's my favorite color. But jealousy is one of those things. And honestly, you know what? It may be one of those things that I just didn't get a chance to experience. And what I mean by that is that I was under your influence from age 15 until now. And I saw the way you and Mrs. Autry were happy for other people, regardless of what they did. Yeah, I know somebody when you started an ice cream shop, another person did a cigar shop and a coffee shop, and you guys were always happy for them. You know, whatever happened. People had businesses, they were building signs or they were brick masons. And I always saw you guys were genuinely happy when someone did something or got something or whatever. You were joyful for them. And when I saw that about you guys, I was like, that's pretty cool. I kind of want to emulate that. But I never really had any examples to follow in my life of jealousy. So it's not really something I've ever really felt. I'd love to see people win, you know. I like winning too, but I want to see other people win too, you know. So it's not something I understand.
A lot of times the jealousy will come when people's got the most.
Wow.
It really is.
That's insane.
I've seen people that are just, you know, very wealthy, or they got great jobs, they've got nice cars, nice houses, but they get jealous. And you're thinking, wow, you got so much to be thankful for.
Wow.
You know? But yeah, it was just a subject I was thinking about. The young man bought that car.
Yeah.
And everybody just turned on him. He walked in, nobody wanted to talk to him, anything. He just bought a car.
It's a car.
You know, you don't know when you see somebody, excuse me, when you see somebody, you don't know what they've been through.
Oh, yeah.
You know, sometimes I'll go to the grocery store or where I'm out and about, and I'll see an older man or a young man or a younger woman or older woman. You think, what kind of life do they have?
Sure.
You know, sometimes they look happy. Sometimes they look sad. I saw a neighbor just a little while ago. One of our neighbors, I always waved to him. They'd wave, hey, how you doing? I waved at him. He just kind of threw his hand up like that. First thing I thought of, I told Ms. Autry, I hope he's okay. You know, because I was worried about him, because he's usually all bubbly.
Right.
Something's going on in his life, but we all have things going on in
Absolutely.
our life. Every one of us do. But jealousy shouldn't be one of them.
You cut that out. Yeah, I don't think I've ever met, and I've met lots of people in my life, I don't think I've ever met that person that, you know, the stereotypical silver spoon was, you know, his cradle was made of gold when he was a baby. I've never met that person. I'm sure they're out there somewhere, but I've never met them. Everyone that I know personally, you know, people get big breaks and things happen, you know, good for them. But most people I know worked for everything they've got, you know. Time is what built that. And when Connor and I were younger, like most young people, we didn't have a whole lot, you know. But honestly, in some ways, it's kind of our favorite memories. So we talk about it all the
Makes
time.
you appreciate what you got now.
Oh, my goodness gracious. So we it's so funny. I know most people can probably relate to this. We're not unique in this, but, you know, one of our favorite dates that we always talk about was, you know, she was a dance instructor, a martial arts instructor. We were young, and we just didn't have a whole lot. We were trying to make things work, but we wanted to go on a date. And so we took a bag of quarters that we had to the QT gas station, and I told her, babe, you can get whatever you want.
It's on me. You get anything you want under $8.
That's one of our most favorite date nights we ever had. We went to that QT, and we turned quarters into just a feast. You know, we got little snacks, and, you know, so we sat in my car, an old beat up Honda I had, and we, you know, turned on my phone, little YouTube videos. We ate our little snacks, and we just had the best time. It wasn't really fun in that moment. When you look back at it, you're like, wow, that was special. You know, we were making the most of anything we had.
Done that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Really, it is. And then, you know, now I can step out on my back porch that I own, and I watch a deer run in the woods, and it's special. It's something amazing. But really, truly, I mean, we worked for what we had.
Sure.
And I think most people do. And so I don't really understand. It's just not my thing. I don't really understand the jealousy. It just doesn't make sense to me, you know?
Yeah, excuse me, I've had so many people come in school through the years. Pardon me. Be husband and wife, or two brothers, two sisters, you know, they start training martial arts, and one get a little bit better than the other one. And you can just see it. You can feel it.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, man, you should be happy for your sister, your brother, your husband, your wife. You know, you've seen it at our school.
I have.
You've seen it firsthand, and you just wonder, man, that's sad.
Right, but why? You know, and that's always been my question. Is just why. And you know what I've noticed over the years? I used this analogy one time in the show, so forgive me if you've already heard it and it's kind of lost its effect. But I thought about it one day. You know, imagine you put seed in the ground and you grew an apple tree or whatever, and you tended to that tree and worked with it, and you were out in the heat and mosquitoes biting on you, and you did everything you could to make this tree grow. And then it finally, bears some fruit. You take these apples and you go inside and you make a pie crust homemade, and you're sweating in it, and it's, you're getting all dirty and floury, and your countertops are dirty, and you got to clean all that mess up. And after hours and hours, and really years of effort that you put into that apple tree, one day you get this real pretty pie that comes out of the oven, and you worked hard for it. And then somebody wants to come by and eat it. They want your pie. And you'd be happy to share things, but I don't want to, when someone wants to take something from you that you really put your effort and passion into, it's hard to share. Right. It makes it really hard to share.
Well, they want to take your joy.
Ooh, that's a good way to say that.
They want to take your joy out of your accomplishment or something. Oh, he got promotion. He just knows somebody. Instead of saying he worked for it.
True.
He just knows somebody, or she knows somebody.
That's true.
I've seen that so many times. He got his green belt or purple belt or black belt.
Wow.
Because, Master Archer likes him, or since they long spend extra time with him. Instead of saying, wow, congratulations, you did a good job. I'm going to be there one day.
Wow, that's a good point. I never really thought about it like this until now. Do you think maybe that has something to do with less of trying to, I don't know, I haven't thought this thought through yet, so this may be silly, but it's less, beware.
Everybody sit down.
Is it a chance that it's less of trying to take away from someone else and more of create an excuse as to why you didn't do well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you think so?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've seen it 1,000 times. But you know what? Going back to what we said in the beginning, it's what kind of foundation you have with somebody. Right. It can be a friend, it can be a neighbor, it could be anything. I mean, poor Mike and I, we have a good foundation. Mm-hmm. We're pretty good friends. Did we grow up together? No, I just met him a couple of years ago, but we got a good friendship. And if he won $50 zillion, nothing would change.
Right.
And that's the way with everybody that I know. I don't care. I'm just glad for them. But like you say, a lot of people aren't that way.
That's true. That's true. And I don't know. I mean, I guess it comes from little wins. I don't know. To me, in my life, I think a lot of the confidence that I've got now, it kind of transitioned from this puffy-chested arrogance that a young man would have, and it turned into I'm confident and I don't mind failing. Truly, I don't care if I mess things up or if you throw a ball and I happen to not catch it. I'm not embarrassed by that. Right. It doesn't bother me anymore. Where there was a time that would really affect my ego. But I think truly, in my experience, that came from little wins, doing little things over time that started to make me do bigger wins and bigger wins. They're
called stepping stones.
Stepping stones. You're exactly right.
You can't get somewhere unless you step. Stepping stones is what it's called.
You took me to a park with a couple of other students when I was maybe like 16, and I did a performance on this little stone stage, and I was so proud of myself for getting up on that stage and doing a performance there. There was all these big sponsors, Hyundai, the car dealership, and everybody was there. Right across the street.
Camp?
No, sir. This was right across the street from the Cultural Arts Center by Johnny Case.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've been to that park many, many times after that. I went a couple of weeks ago for my little brother's birthday.
You remember that?
You remember that?
Yeah. So many places.
I saw that little stone stage, and I was like, man, that meant something to me. Looking at that little stage, like, wow, I've come a long way.
What year was this?
Oh, geez, 2014?
You remember this?
Maybe. You remember that? Yeah.
I remember the music now.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the guy trying to rob our time.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
I was like, we're supposed to be on stage with my students.
Chop, chop, buddy.
Yeah. You can play your music later.
I forgot all about that. That is so funny. Yeah, but that was my first time performing in front of a crowd like that.
Yeah.
But I felt okay.
And it was a decent crowd.
There was a lot of people.
Yeah,
there.
It was a decent crowd.
A lot of people there. But I felt okay doing it because I had done little things before that, performing in your school in front of people that I knew and I trusted. Mm-hmm. And now, years later, you and I have stepped in front of crowds of hundreds of people at colleges or wherever.
Right.
We've been to corporates and office buildings and speaking to all sorts of people. And it's fun,
It is.
And it's one of those things, to me, it makes sense that now I don't get nervous for a job interview or whatever. Nothing really. Well, some things bother me, but nothing
To me,
really.
it's more like a still confidence. You don't have to show it. It's more like a still confidence inside
Yeah,
you.
right.
You know?
Okay, that's a good way of saying it. You're right.
You don't have to be loud or abrupt.
You're
You
right.
know, tell about what you know. Just kind
You're
of be
right.
still.
Yeah, and it's comfortable. I think still
is.
is a good word for that. It's very comfortable.
It is.
That I think that radiates off of some people. I've seen people before that can laugh at themselves when they do something silly or whatever. And the whole room can laugh with them, not at them, but with them, because they can manage those emotions in a way that, to me, it seems pretty adept.
Yeah.
And as a youngin', I'd look at that and be like, man, they aced that. How did they do that? They turned something that would have had me red in the face,
Right.
embarrassed, and they turned it into a moment where everyone liked them more for it. It's
Yeah.
like, that's incredible.
Speaking of the guy with the music, we went to the Mexican restaurant, and he's around the corner. He's still in business.
Is it really? Wow, that's cool. That's cool. He had a lot of students.
Yeah, he did.
That line was.
He did.
He had a lot of students. It took up a lot of time.
Trying to hold our time.
He sure did too. That is so funny. Taking a look at what's going on here, Miss Jenny. Yes, we did have a new one. Yes.
Hey, Miss Jenny, how you doing?
Hope you are doing well.
Mr. Ben, Mr. Pool Mike.
Mr. Pool Mike says, Pool Mike here. Mr. Hunter Custom says, hello.
Hey, Miss Johnny.
Connor Rain says, the only thing I really get jealous about now is seeing other people with super nice strollers. Talking about really nice baby strollers.
We can fix that.
Now, this is a term I'm not familiar with. Now, he's capitalized both words.
Who's it from?
This is from WJJ. And it's
Dwayne.
It's Deason Dobry? Deason Dobry? I barely passed high school. I don't know what that word is. But it may be a phrase that I'm just unfamiliar with. I don't know it.
I don't either.
I don't know.
Mr. Wayne, can you do it again and break it down? We're just simple people.
Talk to me like I'm 5. Explain that to me like you were a child.
Right, break it down.
Ms. Jenny says, jealousy is the worst. Surround yourself with people to help you get what you wish for. Anything is possible. You just have to have the right people and things to make it come to fruition. You are exactly right. Having a support team is hilarious. Oh, there he says. It says it means hello. Okay, well, hello. WJJ. What language is that?
Next time, just say hello.
That's cool.
Actually, he's a cool guy. I went and watched a football game with him and his wife.
Oh, cool.
After he did, it was Monday night,
Sweet.
I think. But anyway, we had a
That's
good time.
cool.
Last Thursday. Thank you, sir. I had a good time there.
That is cool. Very cool. But I think Miss Jenny is right that there's something about, there's an old term, everybody knows it. If you wallow in mud, you smell like mud, right?
Exactly.
If you hang out with pigs, you smell like pigs. And when you can get out of that, and get yourself around people that do support you,
Right.
that want to see you win, it becomes a lot easier to win.
Absolutely.
The jealous people, I hate to speak so broadly. I think most people are decent.
They are.
I think
Yeah.
they are. But let's just narrow it down and say jealous people for
Right.
whatever. They have this odd tendency of just pulling everybody down. It's like gravity times 5 with them.
That's another subject, but that's when you want to separate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's times you have to separate yourself from your friends, even family members.
Right.
You really do.
Right.
As much as you love them and you want them to do good. But, if you start feeling down and they start pulling you down, hey, it's time to have a little separation.
You're right.
I've done that with a couple of nice friends of mine, good friends, when I started the school.
Yes, sir. That's exactly the case. Sometimes you have to do
You feel
that.
bad.
Yeah, it's not easy.
No, it's not easy.
Never easy.
But it's best for you and your wife or your children, whoever.
And if
And
you,
it could be a brother or sister.
yes, sir, it sure can. And if you look at it like in this, I don't know, this may be a little grandiose type of vision, but it's also good for that other person. If
Yeah.
they've got nobody to tear down, then there's a chance that perhaps they can reflect on their own
Or they
actions.
find new people.
Just go hunting. They're on a hunt. Who else can I ruin? That's sad. Mr. Hunter says, Brick Mason checking in here. Yeah, you're exactly who I thought of. That I was always happy about. He had the coolest checkbook I ever saw. It was like a big old binder. I saw it one day, and the checks were like real big and wide. And I told myself, when I grow up, I'm getting one like that. That's just cool looking. It just looks so official and professional.
Your thing on the arm.
Yeah, I thought it was so cool.
Write a check long as it's not $8.
Yeah, no more than that.
$8. I gotta get the checkbook.
Miss Teaser says the ingredient reference is perfect. That applies to so many things in life. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I think it does apply to many things in life that, nothing is just, you told me one day, I just now started getting into business, and I texted you, it was probably like 9 o'clock at night. And it was one of those things where I was just like, man, this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. And I messaged you and said, sir, I really do want to do this. I want to go in this direction. And you responded to me, you said Rome wasn't built in a day. And that's all you sent. You didn't send anything else. I was young. I was maybe like 18 at the time. You said Rome wasn't built in a day. And that was just the perfect thing I needed to hear at the time. You're right. I mean, you see these grand buildings and amazing things, and it's just one brick at a time. Right. And everything's like that, whether you're making an apple pie or whatever, sure. Everything involves a little bit of effort and work. And when you put in that type of work and effort, it's you care about it, And when someone comes to try to take it from you or take away from it or whatever, it's difficult.
Have you experienced a lot of jealousy in your school? Not when you got now, but when you had you at school?
Maybe a little. And, to be honest with you, there were times in my life where it popped up for a second. I mean, just like a second. I guess what the young people call intrusive thought. It would just pop up for a second. You just kind of hit it back down like a whack-a-mole or something. There was a student in particular who was with you for a long, long time. And she and I just were always together, just really great partners. And there were times she'd pick up on something that I couldn't. And I would think about it, and I'd be like, man, she's getting this. Why am I not getting this, But it was never, I hate you for getting right. That. It was more of a looking at me like, what am I doing wrong? What am I missing? It was more, reflective than it was like pushing it on someone else. And it is hard. I mean, I don't know if you can think about something that you're really, really good at, or something that you seem to have proficient skills at and you're still growing in it. And then something comes your way and you're like, this is a speed bump. I'm having a hard time getting over this. Right. It can be challenging,
sometimes you just have to be straight and direct. I remember when you just started your school, you had a lot of people. You had probably 20, 22, 25 people, students. And then if you remember, that jealousy started going around.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was 4, 5, 6 people. Mm-hmm. And you're like, sir, I don't know what to do. I said, I'll be right back. I walked out in the middle of the floor and I said, you, and you. It's going to stop now or you can leave.
Yes, sir.
I
forgot about that.
Because it was going to tear up your whole school.
You're right.
And you just started.
Yes, sir.
You don't do that very often. I'm not doing that because I'm bragging or being cool. Right. But sometimes you just have to nip it in the bud.
You're so right. I forgot that even happened.
I said, you're going to lose, you're going to lose, you're going to lose, you're going to lose.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then it just changed like that. Now, it had two things. It could have worked or not worked.
It was worth a shot.
You could have went down with 6 students. But you couldn't have it that way. It was just too much jealousy.
You're right.
And it's nothing that you did.
You're right.
Nothing you did.
You're right.
Nothing the other person did. But they just started talking. It's that gossip.
Mm-hmm. You know what's funny about that is we had an episode one day called Pulling the Weeds Out of Your Life. Mm-hmm. And it's weird. You can have the most beautiful garden or the most beautiful yard in the world, and a weed will find a way.
Sure will.
And so you're right. It's not necessarily something you did wrong or whatever. Sometimes weeds just pop up, and there's just nothing you can do about it except for address it. Like you said, be direct and pull it up by the root and take care of it. Yeah. You may have a little patch in your yard that's not as pretty as the rest, but hey, you got rid of that problem. Right. That story you tell where your dad talks about the pinky, he said you can have that whole disease and you can cut off your pinky or you can live. What are you going to choose, And sometimes it's just like that. It's unfortunate, but, you have to do what you have to do sometimes, I guess. Mr. Tab Hunter says, how would y'all differentiate between jealousy and envy, or is there a difference? That's a really good question, and I've often wondered that myself. Most times I look at it like as if they mean the same thing, but I heard somebody say one day that there's a different level and perspective to it, that jealousy is I want what you have, and envy is I don't want you to have it.
Wow.
And I don't check the Webster's dictionary. I may be way off, but when I heard it, I was like, that's now my opinion too. I like that.
I think envy sometimes, my first thought, envy is, I'm envy of you, but I'm going to get there. I'm envy of you having a nice car, nice house. One day I'm going to get that. I'm envy of you.
Yeah.
It's almost out of a nice love in a way.
Sure, a friendly competition,
Right,
sort of.
Right. It just motivates me.
Yeah.
Man, sir, you got that beautiful garden. I'm envious of that. You've had people tell you that.
Yeah, right.
But jealousy comes from the dark soul.
That's a good
That's how I
answer.
look at it.
That's a good
And I'm sure
answer.
everybody else will agree with that.
Because I've said it in my life, and I didn't mean anything bad by it at all.
Well, I'm envious of you.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I have too.
yeah. That's I can't remember. Somebody said something about hanging out with their baby or something like that, being with their kids, something family oriented.
Yeah.
I said, man, I'm envious of that. That's just awesome.
But it makes you want to work. That's how I
Right.
look at it. It just motivates you.
Right.
When you're envious of something.
Yeah.
Unless you got a bad attitude. But if you're envious and a good attitude, I don't see nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
It's for what kind of context it's in.
I guess so. What realm are you standing in?
But jealousy that's dark.
Yeah, I've never looked at someone and said I'm jealous of that.
I'm jealous of you.
I've never said that. I don't think I have, but I've definitely said, I'm envious of that
Talking to something
behavior.
sultry.
It's so funny.
Other people.
Ms. Jenny says, "Oh, great question. You have to remind yourself to be grateful for all that you have." And you know what? You're exactly right. Sometimes it is, you do have to remind yourself because it's easy to do. I think it's really easy to compare yourself to others. But you have to remind yourself of what you got and what you got going on. Today I was in downtown Charlotte. I drove past this beautiful, it was a boxing gym. I drove past it and I drove by real slow. I looked in the windows like, man, that's a real pretty school, And it's easy when you see things like that to be down on yourself, like, I could be doing better, or I could do this, or I wish that this obstacle wasn't in my way so I could be pursuing this other thing, or et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure everyone has that for some type of subject in your life. But you're exactly right. I mean, I love my students. I love what I've got going
Some
on.
people envy of you because you got 10, 12, 15 students, private lessons.
You're so
But somebody
right.
else is looking at you like you look at that
You are
person.
so right.
So there's no difference. It's just a different scale.
You're so right. That's a very good point.
Reminding yourself to be grateful.
Yeah, reminding yourself to be grateful.
Right.
You're right. There is
Ms. Autry, you want to come up here and talk?
guest speaker, Miss Audrey.
She's behind the scenes person.
Miss Connor Rain said, yes, I said that. And Jenny Easter says that is a fantastic description. The younger you are, the more you compare. The older you get, the more you appreciate what you have worked for.
Amen.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's good.
I hope to understand that fully one day. It's just less comparison, but it's easy to do. Right. At least currently where I'm at, because it's weird. At least in my life, I've had stages where growth happens like a rocket ship, where everything's just doing really well. Right. Everything's going in the right direction. It's like it's just never raining. Everything's just sunshine and perfect. And then you go through these weird periods where it's not so well. It might not be hard. Nothing horrible is happening, but it's like the growth just is stagnant, And I think, I don't know, and I care. I care about it. And so when I look at that, I wonder, what can I do to fix that? Or how can I change
This is
it?
going to sound weird, but I think it's actually good for people.
What do you mean, the stagnant? Or
No, doing real good, then going back down. I know I had a school right before 9/11 hit, moved the location, and it was going pretty good. We're starting to get a lot of students popping in there. Then 9/11 hit, and I just lost the whole school.
yeah, it's hard.
And I was like, man. So I was sitting there, and I was upset for about, I don't know, a week or two. I was just bummed out.
I bet,
I was
yeah.
just like, hey, don't worry about it. We can build up another school. And I said, hey, but I put so much time and energy, all my money in that school. But it made me go a different direction. It really did. It made me think different. Sometimes we just get on one track.
Wow.
It made me think different dynamics, different kind of school. And that's what I did, and look what happened.
Well, honestly, I needed to hear that. That was really nice.
And that was actually good for me. It really was.
Yes, sir.
I needed that.
You're right. That's very, very nice to hear. A lot of different doors have opened up in the past couple of months for me to pursue different things, and at least in the world of martial arts and business and stuff. And honestly, I never in my life thought that I'd be teaching martial arts with the disabled. I didn't think that was a thing. You know what I mean? I didn't know I'd do that. But you're right. Having different periods of fluctuation
We talked about that
causes
last
you to
week.
look at things differently, and you see different avenues.
I honestly think, sorry guys, the allergies. I honestly think that you've got a calling to do that.
You think so?
I think you're going to build a biggest business, or what you want to call it, dojo or corporation, whatever,
Yeah.
doing that. I do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I
I thought you think the same way.
It's pretty cool. It's really cool.
Because that's a niche that nobody does.
I never heard
or
of it.
nobody knows how to do it.
Right.
And what you can do is not only are you good at martial arts, but now you can be with these special people, these special needs.
Right.
That's a calling. I'm telling you.
I tell you what, it's cool. It's different. It's not something that I've really had like thousands of hours of experience in, but it's been really cool so
I'd
far.
love to sit in and watch it.
Yeah,
Just sit
I'll
in.
sneak you in one day.
Wear street clothes to sit down.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be really, really cool. But I'm glad you said that because I think I needed to hear that you are right. When things get stagnant sometimes, if you care, you'll start to look at it and say, how can I approach this differently?
How can I make it different?
What do I do?
Because I don't care what you do in New York, you can always do it better.
You're
I
right.
don't care.
You're right. And I use this analogy sometimes when I'm teaching students. There's a wall,
Yeah.
and there's lots of things you can do to this wall. You can run through it. You can punch through it. You can dig around it. You can climb over it. You can walk around it. There's a lot of different ways you can approach the situation. Try not to look at everything like it's just in stone.
Right.
There's a lot of options out there, a lot of options. And most things I think in life are like that. Sometimes you have to step back and reevaluate. Very cool. Everyone, sir, is calling for Mrs. Autry to come on. That's so funny. She said, won't happen. That's so
She's like,
funny.
Miss Jenny, it ain't gonna happen.
It ain't gonna happen. It's so funny. I think it's easy to feel jealous or envious when you don't like the person. I don't
Absolutely.
really feel that way towards people I do like. I'm happy for the people I like and love. Wow. There's a famous saying, it's old as time itself, that talks about how it's like I'm doing everything that I know to do right, and it's just not working. And yet I see people who are thieves and robbers, and yet they just keep doing well, and I just don't understand it.
Yeah, dishonest.
And dishonest. And it's like, man, this is tough, And it's easy to look at that and say, well, you're such a bad person. Why are you winning and I'm not?
But I go back to the same thing. When you do stuff like that, your soul's not being rewarded. When you do the right thing, your soul's being rewarded.
Wow.
You go home and sleep good at night. These other people think, how can I steal something? How can I snag somebody
Right.
around or whatever?
Right.
But a good person does the right thing. You sleep fine because your soul's at ease.
You're right.
He's at rest.
Wow.
It
Wow. You're right. It's kind of like a weird little toxin that grows. You start looking at people who are doing bad, and you start analyzing it, and all of a sudden something bad happens in you. Or you're like, I just wish you wouldn't do so well. All of a sudden you start doing bad stuff, just in a different route. So that's a good point. You're right. Just worry about your own thing. Oh, that's so funny. This is I'm behind the scenes. There are no dead ends. You're right. I think that's a great place to end the show, Miss Jenny. As we're right past 8:04, there are no dead ends. You're right. There's just alternative routes, detours, if you will. I had to take a detour to get here.
I know.
This area is growing. It's insane. Everywhere I turn, there's just construction. Roads are
Today
closed.
yesterday we went somewhere. It was 3 road works stopped. And I was like,
Jeez
man, I
Louise.
went down another road. It was crazy.
It's insane.
One lane, you know how they do. One lane
Right.
stopped you.
Right. There's so much growth. It's just wild. Well, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I'm so glad we were able to do this.
Me too.
Yeah,
Feels good
glad
being
to be
back.
back. Yeah, for sure. Guys, have a great rest of your evening. We'll be back again, God willing, on next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and we hope to see you there. You guys
See
have a great rest of
Have
your
a good
night.
night.